really no point.
Yeah. No, that's my dance of for a week.
What?
Yeah. Buddy.
Barker's happy. It's Blair and Barker.
Yeah.
For a Friday. And
when this show is over, boy, it is as fast as you can go.
You got big plans for the All-Star break?
No plans at all, buddy.
Attaboy.
None whatsoever. My plan is not getting on a train for 4 days.
You don't like that
5
train
and
thing, do you?
6.
I like the commuting thing.
Yeah.
You don't like driving.
Drives you nuts. No, I do like driving.
Yeah.
I don't like driving here. Who would want to drive in this city? Like, I said, cat. So I take the train. Train's okay. There's a lot of people on it.
As long as people understand that when you're at the top of the GO train,
Oh,
the little sign there that has the little head
you think they listen?
with the headphone on it, that means shut the bleep up. No one
That's
cares
what that
about
means?
No one cares about your conversation. They just don't. Trust me. They don't. Shut up and listen to music or read. That's it.
Yeah. Happy Friday, everybody.
It is a happy Friday for you. I mean, I'm surprised we're a minute into the show and you haven't taken a shot at me for Paul Skeen starting the All-Star game. There you go.
Hey, I was
You
going to
and
let
Passon did. Passon texted me like he's been texting me all day. He said I'm a genius. He said to me, he apologized for calling me old on the show the other day.
Never apologize.
And he
ever.
said, you're not old, you're wise. And I said, anyhow,
Man.
Paul Skeen starting the All-Star game. That'll be fun. Be exciting.
For who? Will you watch?
Oh, I watch. I have not missed an All-Star game. I've watched every All-Star game probably for the last 20 years. I've watched every pitch of every All-Star game.
Every single pitch.
Well, I covered it for, you got to remember, I was there for, I covered like 11 or 12 of the suckers.
Yeah,
and I'll watch it on TV. Yeah,
this is the right thing to do for baseball. It just is.
So I wonder if
nobody else in the National League, anybody else wants to.
I wonder if Vladdy will face him.
man.
I wonder if Vladdy will face him.
Vladdy probably might be hitting 6th or 7th, 4th, 5th, 6th, somewhere in there.
So if somebody
fifth,
gets
sixth, or
on,
seventh.
if somebody gets on, then he might. Good luck with that sore hand.
He ain't gonna be
Vladdy.
hitting the top 4, is he? Who'd be hitting cleanup for the American League?
I mean,
Not Vladdy. No, I don't think it's Vladdy. Maybe. Depends on how many innings. He ain't gonna go 2 innings, would he?
I mean,
I wouldn't
know.
think so.
I don't know if he's the greatest thing ever. Maybe
He is.
Maybe they have to let him go 2 innings.
He's the next Nolan Ryan.
We have Blue Jays baseball tonight at 9:40 on the network, and of course, right here on Sportsnet 590 The Fan. The Jays opening a 3-game series against the Arizona Diamondbacks. That will take them to the All-Star break. John Schneider, the manager of the Jays, joins us in a few minutes. Randal Grichuk, former Jay, will join us as well. He's currently with the Arizona Diamondbacks. Always good to catch up with Randal. What is that?
Sorry.
It's probably Passon.
Yeah.
I'm sure Passon has.
He's not listening to this show.
Oh, he listens to the show.
He does?
He does listen to he listens to it via podcast, but he also.
You've already got a whole bucket of wrong sitting right over there somewhere around you. So just, deal with it, buddy. It's just the way it is. Everybody but Jeff Blair wants to see that dude pitch in the first inning.
I'm fine with him pitching. I just think I would have been fine with Ranger Suarez. Yeah, maybe.
You couldn't pick Ranger out of a lineup.
I couldn't pick Paul Skeens out of a
You
lineup.
could,
either.
too.
You could not.
Oh, you could. You're such a liar.
You couldn't pick him
You're
out.
such a liar. I could, too.
You could not.
Absolutely.
If he just
Look
walked
on
in,
Instagram.
if he just walked in street clothes, you couldn't pick him.
Yeah, I could.
No, you couldn't.
Look who that is, Jeff.
No, you
Paul.
So the Blue Jays, God love them, are
making a run at this
thing. They could be. Well, I mean, with a win in this series, that would be 3 series wins in a row after yesterday's 5-3 win over the San Francisco Giants. The Giants general. Did you see what Farhan, the Giants general manager, Farhan Zaidi, said today?
What?
I mean, I don't know if this is necessarily. I mean, it's not a slap at the Blue Jays by any stretch of the imagination.
But it is.
But he essentially said that if that's the way we're going to play, we're selling. I mean, basically, let me call up what he said.
Offensively, they ain't giving you much.
No.
No, they're not.
No, they're not.
Ramos is the only guy you got to worry about, and there's everybody else.
Where is it? Yeah, I can't find it now. But yeah, basically, he said that to paraphrase him.
Yeah, if the Jays are going to do this to us,
yeah,
we're backing up the truck.
That's basically it. That's basically.
Who would you want from the Giants?
I mean, I don't know. It depends on. I mean, they've got some decent young guys. Here it is. Look, we're 4 games under 500 now. This is after they lost to the Jays. We've got some. God, I hate the internet. All this stuff keeps popping up on my screen that I really don't care about.
Spit it out, Jeff.
Look, we're 4 games under 500 now. We've got some great stories, but overall, it's been a real disappointment. I think we gambled a lot with this team. We're over $200 million in terms of our payroll. I think we need the players to show us what the right direction is for us. If we show signs of life and feel like we're on the cusp of making a run, that's going to dictate things. If we keep playing like we did the last 5 days, we're going to have to think about selling and signing some younger players. Because when I talk to Giants fans, that's what I hear a lot. They're so excited about guys that can be here for the next 5 or 6 years. And we've got a lot of those guys coming to Sacramento now as guys that maybe will become free agents at the end of next year or the year after. So that is...
other than the talking and the young guys coming to Toronto, sounds like the Blue Jays.
I was going to say. And they're what? They're 4 under 500? I mean, they're not...
That's National League. National League's not the American League. It's just not. You got I mean, I get the 500. You're still in the wild card. Yeah, absolutely. The balanced schedule, I get that. But there's a lot of bad teams in the National League. Like, you got a chance there. American League, not so much. Like, this sort of,
I mean, the guys that I think the guys that they would probably be interested in moving are guys like Conforto, I don't know, Patrick Bailey. I mean, Soler. Yeah, they're.
Yeah, I mean, you think the Braves might come calling for a guy like Soler, right?
They have a bunch. They have a bunch of pieces that would round out your roster. Maybe. I don't think they necessarily have anything that would go woo. This is news. Whit Merrifield was released by the Phillies prior to tonight's game against the Oakland Athletics. The Phillies released utility player Whit Merrifield. So there you go. They called up an infielder, outfielder from AAA Lehigh. That Ben Nicholson-Smith tweeted that about an hour ago. So Whit Merrifield.
Yeah, you're a good team when you start getting rid of veteran guys who know how to hit good pitching late in the season. Yep. Rights are not going to get too loud for him.
No,
it's the Phillies. In fact, Phillies going to win it in my mind. They're the best team in baseball, not in the National League.
After watching what they did to the Dodgers, the Dodgers
in trouble. I wouldn't say trouble because they're going to make the playoffs, but if they get beaten the first round, say by, I don't know, the Brewers, you'd be surprised.
I told you,
I wouldn't.
I told you earlier. You kind of laughed at me. I think they're maybe the 3rd best team in the National League because Alex is going to do something. And they got some dudes back. I'll take the Braves. I'll take the Braves over I don't trust the Dodgers. I don't trust the Dodgers at all. They've got a lot of holes. They've got the top of the order is great, but they got a lot of holes. They really do. And man,
the National League's really top heavy. It's top heavy of one team. It's the Phillies and everybody else. The Braves are going to go out and do whatever the Braves are going to do. Get another pitcher, get maybe another outfield guy that can hit 6th or 7th and maybe win an MVP in a World Series, that kind of thing. I mean, they're going to probably do their thing. And then there's everybody else. Right now, the Dodgers are sort of in that everything else just because of the way the injuries are in the rotation. And even when the rotation gets back healthy, is there a lot of unknowns in that? Yeah, you have any idea what you're getting from Kershaw? And would any Dodgers fan raise your hand? Now, be serious. Don't lie. Want Clayton Kershaw pitching in a big game?
Hell no.
Absolutely not. Not a chance. So, yeah, I'm with you. I'm sure they're going to go out and add and subtract and, some rumblings with that dude that plays shortstop for the Blue Jays. That
that doesn't make a difference to me. I
don't think so. It has nothing to do with their pitching.
Exactly.
Yeah, it doesn't.
And I'm liking keep an eye on those Padres down there in the West. Keep an eye on the Padres. I know they're 7 back. They're only 2 over 500. Keep an eye on that team. I just don't trust the Dodgers.
Yeah, it's
I
the
think
front
the
office
Dodgers-
for the Padres. You really don't trust. You really don't know what you're going to get.
Oh, I know that they're going to do something.
Yeah, it's like too much, maybe.
Maybe.
Yeah, it's like there's no happy medium there. It's like you either do too much, you don't do enough. It's like, well, how do you find it?
Let's look back a little bit at yesterday's game. And the back leg line will be activated today. 416-413-3959. We'll go to that later on in the show. I've also
Feel free to tell Jeff he's wrong about skis.
I know I'm wrong about skis. I just said.
It's probably one of the dumbest things you've ever written. The bottom of one of your articles.
No, it's not.
it is too.
It got you. It got people
I did
talking.
not. That's not why you did it.
It sure is.
That's a hot take. This is what I'm doing. Everybody's going to agree with me.
I don't care about it. I want to revisit last night's game. Now, stop it. Does it ever surprise you how many people in your family don't realize that you're on air at a certain time?
Or they don't care.
Which is possibly true.
Man, it feels like Friday.
Yeah, it really does, because we're all over the place.
Boy, I tell you what.
I'll tell you
we
what.
haven't even gotten to Jays yet.
We're like Kevin Kiermaier up at the plate. We will talk to...
He's hitting it where it's pitched now. I mean, he's taking what the pitcher gives him.
He's hot. We'll talk to John Schneider about Kevin Kiermaier. That story yesterday that moved during the game, Kevin Kiermaier placed on waivers. And again, there's no such thing as revocable waivers. Waivers is waivers is waivers is waivers. He placed on waivers. It's not supposed to be made public. Clearly, some agent spoke to somebody, or agents and general managers are generally the ones who know who's on waivers. So, but there's no such thing as irrevocable or revocable waivers. You go on waivers until you're off the 40-man roster. You can play to your heart's content. Because a lot of guys, I guarantee you, frankly, there have been 5 or 6 other guys, at least on the Jays, who've been on waivers and have been playing. Well, they've been on waivers, they just don't know about it. Anyhow, in Kevin Kiermaier's case, it's pretty clear that what the Jays will likely do. Well, first of all, I don't think anybody's going to claim him and the $4.5 million left on his contract. Maybe somebody might. I don't know. 4th, 5th outfielder in a good team, whatever.
5th outfielder for $4 million.
Hey,
that's a lot.
And it's not really a lot. Huh? There are teams that are paying.
Probably not.
There are teams that are paying that. I'm not saying I would, but there are teams that are paying it. Anyhow,
he's a really good defender. He can change the game on the defensive side of the ball. Offensively,
offensively.
For mentally, that trying to pull everything in the air has looked to me anyway like it's sort of thrown him off, and it's been hard for him to get the whatever he's trying to get back on the tracks. And lately it looks like he's a little shorter and quicker, staying close with the front side.
Anyhow, he's got
hitting the ball the other way. I'm trying to be nice here. Let me. It's Friday.
I know. I'm just saying. But I mean, the point is that this looks very much as if the Jays are getting ready to release him. And I mean, I guess he has a veteran player. He can turn down going to the minors. He's not going to the minors. Mm-hmm. Kevin Kiermaier's not going to the minors. So basically, it looks to me like the Jays are, if there are no feelers here.
Who plays center if Dalton's hurt?
If Dalton's in center?
If Dalton's hurt, who plays center?
I don't know. Dalton will be healthy. Stuart Burrow, who cares? I mean, at this point in time?
Well, I'm sure there's some dudes in the rotation that care.
It's who do
you think was complaining about the infield defense?
It opens up. Possibly opens up a spot in the 40-man roster. Anyhow, we're going to see a lot of moves like this over the course of the next couple of weeks, as the Jays kind of figure out in which direction, or I should say, as the front office tries to figure out which direction they're going. Even though I think most of us have an idea.
I'm sure they know already.
Well, but the reason I mentioned it is because John Schneider, had a chat with Kevin Kiermaier after the game yesterday because it became public. That cannot have been an easy discussion. I'm sure Kevin's enough of a pro that I'm sure he probably figured that this was coming.
Yeah.
But, great on Joel Sherman for getting the story. But, the waiver process is supposed to be private.
It's basically like getting released. I've been released a bunch of times. I know exactly how it feels. I know exactly how it feels to be called in the office and have some manager act like he gives a crap about you. Like, I get it. I mean, John's going to give you that same exact answer. Like, You know, this is where we're at as an organization. We really believe in what you've done here. We really appreciate it. We were run preventing, and you were a big, giant part of that. Now the organization's heading in a different direction, and we don't feel like you're a part of it.
No, I think the discussion is we think that we owe it to you to make you available to a team that might be going to the playoffs.
That's okay, I guess. Again, I've been released. I guess that's different.
Well, the difference, Kevin, is that with all due respect, he's making money.
That's the difference.
He's been in the majors for a gazillion years. So, but anyhow, we'll talk to John Schneider.
Maybe.
We'll talk to
John's pretty good at that stuff, so I'm sure he was good about it.
And as I said, it's probably no surprise. So anyhow, Kevin Kiermaier is with the team in Arizona. Again, you can play while you're on waivers. He's still on the roster, and that's where we are with that. Let's focus on somebody that we think is going to be around for a while, and I want to talk about Spencer Horwitz. Saw the home run yesterday from Spencer Horwitz. Look, I think we've been pretty clear. I think everybody's been pretty clear. He's got to be your everyday second baseman right now.
Mm-hmm.
I'm with you. He hit second against, you know what? I hit him second against righties. I said maybe against lefties you move him down, but you know what? I was thinking about what you said. No, let him. He's got enough of a skill set. Let him hit second against lefties.
Is Bo better than he is right now?
Nope.
Is David Schneider better than he is right now?
No.
Is Dalton Varsho better than he is right now?
The only guy who'd be better is Vladdy. I don't want Vladdy hitting second. I want Vladdy hitting third. There's nobody else better than him right now.
No, you want Horwitz hitting in front of Vladdy.
Yes, there's nobody else better than him.
There you go.
There's nobody else
But
better.
they'll sit around and overthink it and put him in the 6 hole against some lefty nobody's ever heard of.
Probably because of a bat path. A bat path.
Trying to do the best we can do for the player when sometimes it's just best to get out of the way.
Spencer Horwitz 2 for 5 yesterday. We mentioned the home run that he hit, his 4th of the year off of Jordan Hicks.
Yep. Jordan Hicks ain't real good.
Well, I think he is
92 ain't
he
playing.
He is making a transition back to starter, and that may be one of the things that the Giants may be finding out right now is that it's great to do that at the start of the year. July and August roll around, it looks like that, and if you do want to contend, maybe you've got to have another option. Maybe you put Jordan back into the bullpen, but
it's a lot to ask. It looked to me like he's making a effort to not throw hard.
Oh,
how do you do that?
We had passing on it, and they wrote that article. He has said that. He is deliberately not throwing.
And it looks to me like you aim the ball when you don't want to throw it as hard as you ultimately can throw it.
Yeah.
And then it looks the way it looks. And, if you get a decent hitter who's going to take a pitcher's pitch and force you to throw one down the middle, and it's 92, 93, you ain't getting 92, 93 back. They're getting hit hard somewhere. Even if it is a bad sweeper. Horwitz got an idea at the plate. Like he's,
He really does.
Like it's simple, it's repeatable. He doesn't have an obvious hole. Like it doesn't take a guru hitting coach to watch him hit or a pitching coach and go, man, how do you get this dude out? He's a gnat with 2 strikes. He's got plate coverage.
Mm-hmm.
He's got enough bat speed. He can go the other way. He can hit a slider. He can hit a sweeper. He can hit elevated fastballs. He can hit fastballs in. He can pull a fastball with velocity in the air. I just don't know right now. Now, maybe this is a hot streak and nobody really knows what he is. And maybe it's just sometimes every hitter gets in a groove and everything's working. Like his takes are on point. Like you could tell it leaves the hand right away. He knows it's a ball or a strike, or whether he wants to make a positive move towards the baseball. It's out of the hand. It's not halfway or 3/4 of the way. It's not when his foot's in the air. It is that thing's leaving the hand. You could see it yesterday, and you could slow it down, and I did it on purpose. I wanted to see where his front foot was at. He's athletic, quick. Lifts it. It's repeatable. He's got that set arm thing already done to where it's slotted. I don't have to have that wasted movement, which allows him to be that gnat with 2 strikes. Not changing anything because I'm doing it. I don't have to do something special with my lower half and actually think about the actual process of going through my 2-strike thing.
How would you pitch him?
I'd throw him a lot of backdoor breaking balls and force him to go the other way. If he wants to hit singles off me, go for it. I live with singles. It's the being too fine aiming secondary stuff, giving him a chance to, scoreboard. You can tell he gets bigger to the pull side according to what the scoreboard says. If I need a hit, I'm going to stay up the middle the other way. If I, as a team, are up 3-2 runs, I'm leading off or I'm the second hitter, guy gets out in front of me, I'm going to try and get Frisky Party out front and do some damage to the pull side. You can actually see him playing it out. And he's not overthinking it. Again, a lot of these, this is why.
And he made a really nice play in the field yesterday, too.
Look, it's a play that a second baseman should always make, but because he went from first to second, we're sort of, woo-woo. It's a play he should always make, is my point, and a throw he should always make. It's nice watching him make it. He made it look like he's been making it forever, which is what you want a big league second baseman to do.
How hard is that defensively to move from first to second in season?
It's the same side of the infield. We've had Biggio on this show a bunch. We've had other people that have tried to go. We've had Dalton on outfield going from right to left.
As long
center
as
to left.
Same side of the infield is.
Yeah, because, a lot of the times, most hitters are right-handed. That ball's going to do weird things, right? A guy's right-handed thrower, right-handed hitter, inside out, ball's going to kick and go away from you. You need to know that, right? Right side of the infield, because you're a first baseman, you sort of already know that where you're playing.
It's not like the double plays an issue anymore because nobody slides into.
Yeah, he's deeper now. They're real good about putting him in the right spot when the ball's being hit and where he's not going side to side. It seems to me, this is just me, that up and back are the biggest deal for him. We've seen him go back on a fly ball. He don't like it. Coming in, he just looks like he's sort of out of sort, right? So it's something that I'm sure they're going to work on just because offensively the way he swings the bat and, can do things that right now a lot of guys are not doing. And if you're a fan of the Blue Jays, you're looking to hang your hat on something and be excited about an offensive player they brought up from the minor league level, that it's actually taking shape. And what John Schneider told us about, they wanted him to go down and start doing some things to the pull side with slug. Yeah. Well, there you go. I mean, he bounced one in the bay. How cool is that?
Before we skip away from here and move on to Randal Grichuk and the Arizona Diamondbacks, Kevin Gausman yesterday, 7 innings, 6 hits, 3 strikeouts, 2 earned runs, 4 singles after the first inning, threw a ton of 4-seamers. He goes into the All-Star break. Chris Bassitt goes into the All-Star break. Do you think they both feel good about where they are right now going into the All-Star break?
Yeah, I think they feel like if they got traded, they could help the baseball team. That's how they feel. They're veteran guys. They've been around forever.
I mean, where their game is.
They know. Yeah, I think, yeah. I have no idea what Gausman's talking about, the bent over upper half, trying to do a different arm slot. I would think the lower you are, the more it runs. That makes sense.
Yeah.
You're watching me on TV, like he wants to throw a 2-seamer that has sink to it. He don't want it to run. He wants it to sink. Sink,
and you think
not run.
You think if you drop
if I drop on side of that thing, it's going to run. It ain't going to sink. I'd rather be on top of it. It's like the split finger. You would think it breaks more if my arm is taller, not on the side of the baseball. When my elbow is way below the baseball and on the side of it, it's like it's like Mesa when he was here and going through all the things he was going here, and it wasn't sinking. And they were all saying that he's on side of the baseball. He's not getting on top of it. I would think Kevin's no different with the 4-seamer, wanting to locate it, not have run to the arm side, and have more vertical break. With the split finger. And if you do want to throw a sinker, you get on top of that thing, it's going to have natural sink to it. You ain't going to have to overthink it. Maybe I just don't understand that part of it. But again, Petey and him are, it seemed to have worked, right? The 60, what he throws, 98 pitches, 64 fastballs. He was in the zone 72% of the time. Yep. Can't remember the last time he threw fastballs in the zone that amount of time. Most of the time he doesn't want to. Most of the time he wants to be a little up, a little down, a little in, a little out. He wants to be on the outskirts, right? I know he wants to attack, but it's inner third, outer third, miss up, miss down, and then do the split finger thing, right? To get dudes to swing over the top of it. So that has a lot to do with this split finger's been.
I wonder if it had anything to do with the
Ramos hitting the homer off the split finger too, and I think the first inning.
So that.
I don't know if that has anything to do with it. I
wonder if it had anything to do with the team that he was facing.
I think it's a combination of Giant Park How do I keep them in the big part of the field? Left center, right center, center field. Can I do it with a split finger? Can I do it with a two-seamer? Probably not, but I can do it filling up the zone with a four-seamer.
Right.
Outer third, up, down, and occasionally, because I want to show them something different, stand them up to get them out of the way with maybe a two-seamer. I throw them something in. I think that was what it was. A veteran guy seeing that his fastball, for whatever reason, was playing. It was high velocity. I mean, it was more 93s than it was 95, 96, 97. So that had nothing to do with it, but it was decently located. He was very aggressive with it. He was pounding the zone. He was getting ahead for the most part. And I think a lot of the times, again, this gets back to that khaki thing. Boy, you just overthinking. You could see a bunch of Giants hitters going up there basically waiting on the split finger. You could actually see them, and that went into play of why the 64 and out of the 98 pitches. So, sometimes teams just way overthink it instead of just going up there, getting in an athletic position and a see ball, hit ball.
Randal Grichuk has had a kind of a quietly low-key decent year for the Arizona Diamondbacks. He's reached base 11 of his last 14 starts, hitting .311 over that time. He's hitting .304 against lefties, .300 with runners in scoring position. And in the pinch, this is something that would be fun for you to talk to him about because you've always talked about how important or how difficult it is, Kevin. He's 9 for 19 with 3 doubles, a home run, 5 RBI, 3 walks, and a hit by pitch as a pinch hitter. This is a guy, he's 32 years old now. He's making a transition in his career. And he's doing it with the team that is the defending National League champions. Randal Grichuk joins us next. It's Blair and Barker on Sportsnet 590, The Fan, and Sportsnet. All right, welcome back to Blair and Barker. 9:40 Eastern Time will be the first pitch tonight as the Jays take on the Arizona Diamondbacks. The first of a 3-game series. We'll have it right here on Sportsnet 590, The Fan, and, of course, on the TV side on Sportsnet as well. The Jays attempting to win a 3rd consecutive series after their victory over the San Francisco Giants last night. And, of course, this will lead up to the All-Star break. And we're at that time with the Blue Jays where, well, as our old friend John Gibbons would say, I was going to say it's nut cutting time, but we may have been past nut cutting time with this team.
Yep.
Anyhow, 9:40 will be the first pitch tonight. We're very pleased at this time to be joined by Randal Grichuk, formerly of the Blue Jays, now of the Arizona Diamondbacks. Randal, thanks so much for joining us on Blair and Barker today. We trust that you're we trust that you're doing well. Hey, I wanted to ask you this about the Diamondbacks. Now, they're 47-47. They're 6-4 in their last 10. They've won 2 in a row. They're obviously in the West. The Dodgers are in the West. You don't need me to tell you that. So are the Padres, for that matter. But I'm wondering, since you've been with the Diamondbacks, Randal, what they went through last year and how they got to the World Series. Is it obvious to you when you walked into that clubhouse that this is a team that had a real it had a real identity because of that, because of what it was able to do in the postseason?
Yeah. First of all, thanks for having me. It's been a while. But yeah, when I got there in the spring training, I kind of initially thought, obviously it was a very talented group of guys. I think playing for Colorado the last couple of years, playing against them, I just thought of grinders. I thought, the D-backs grinded on offense. They played really sound defensive ball and grinded on the base pass. They took the extra 90. If you give it to them, they'd steal a bag. They just played the game hard. And, that's one thing that I respected. But then talent-wise, I felt like they had a ton of talent. They had the confidence from the previous year. And, I knew they had a chance to, go on another fun run. So, I was excited to sign here when I got the chance to.
And when you go to a team with expectations like that, how long does it take you to get used to what a new manager wants you to do, look like, just to sort of make him happy? You've had a bunch of different managers. I'm sure every manager's different when it comes to how you play, what he expects from you on an everyday basis. And then you add the expectations to it. Does it take you a while to get the feel of what a manager's looking for?
Yeah, so I think I think early on in spring with meetings and being able to talk to Torrey, there's one thing that he expects, and that's to play the game the right way, play the game hard, as most managers should. So I knew that, hey, I'm the type of guy that I like to play the game hard. I can't not go out there and not run hard on the ground ball or not go after a ball in the outfield hard. So I knew we were going to be fine there. With my role being a unique role this year, first of my career of not playing every day, I knew I was going to have to figure out when I needed to be ready, how I needed to be ready, the situations that he pinch hits, defensive replacements, those kind of things. But, yeah, I would say probably the first couple weeks, months of the season, you're kind of like, all right, do I need to be ready for this situation? Up 2, down 2, up 3, up 5, down 5. Like, when's the cutoff point of needing to be ready and not making a move type of thing. But, it's been good a few months in, and, it's been great. We're playing better ball as of late, so hopefully that continues.
You mentioned the pitch hitting part of it. I don't know if you knew this, but you are 9 for 19 with 3 doubles, a homer. That's 474. I mean, that's not too shabby when pinch hitting is a dying art now. Like, there's just not a ton of those, and it can't be the easiest thing to do with pitching's never been better. How have you been able to, I don't want to say you were gumming into this thing hoping you were hitting 474 pinch hitting, but I would think you were coming up with some ideas. What's those ideas, and has it changed from other people that you've been around earlier in your career that's tried to do that part of baseball?
Yeah, pinch hitting's hard. You're coming in cold. It doesn't really matter how many swings you take in the cage. It's just not the same as taking an at bat. And it's one of those things that I've just leaned on the hitting coaches here that have been doing it for a while and that have either been in that role or have seen guys in that role and talked to guys in that role to form ideas of how to prepare for it and how to go into an at bat that's coming off the bench that. Chances are you're probably coming in with guys on base to either take a lead, extend a lead. But, yeah, you just got to be ready. You can't really go in and feel out and at bat and see what he's trying to do. And you got to be ready from pitch one, not necessarily swinging pitch one, but being ready to get your A swing off pitch one. And, you can't make at-bat to at-bat adjustments to that point. It's one at-bat. It's ready. You're ready to fire.
Yeah, the D-backs are first in baseball at hitting with average with runners in scoring position at 279. They're third in baseball in home runs with runners in scoring position with 31. Is the approach sort of the same thing with when it comes to runners in scoring position as it is as a pinch hitter? Listening to you talk, they're sort of similar when it comes to, I would think, approaches and how you would attack a certain at-bat, certain pitcher with a dude standing at second or third.
Yeah, I mean those are the ones you dream for, right? If you could tell me right now you're going to get 4 at bats with no guys on, no outs, or 4 guys on with guys on base, you're going to take the guys on base, right? That's how you make your money. That's how you help win ball games. And I just think that in those situations you have to try not to do too much and just focus on your approach and your plan. What are you trying to do? How are you able to get that job done? And if there's a way that guys on second and there's less than 2 and you can get them over or no outs to get them over to let the guy behind you get them in, so be it. But you just got to really lock down your approach and stay aggressive, but also don't deviate from what the plan is.
Randal, you mentioned this is kind of the first time you haven't had a full-time job or an everyday, I shouldn't say full-time job, an everyday played every day. I'm sure there are guys who have done really well in their mid-30s and late 30s, being the guy that other teams want to bring in because they can play great defense, they can turn into fastball. I mean, look, Kevin Pillar is basically having a rebirth this year. Is it hard for a guy to go from, I've got a couple of years on my contract, I'm an everyday player, now I might be going year to year, I might be playing, I might be pinch hitting, I might go to a team where they're going to use me more in defense as well as pinch hit. Like, is it hard to get to that point in your career where you're almost going, it's like you're going year to year, you're going to have a job, but you're going year to year?
Yeah, it's a unique one, obviously. Going into the year, you have a 1-year deal and that there's a very good chance you might not be here. Hope all goes well and they want you back and you want to stay there. But, That's not always the case, with prospects coming up. Teams have their kind of eye on what they're doing for the next few years. But, it's forming new relationships. It's forming new roles, especially with, medical staff. It's a long season. You got to be on the same page with them, hitting coaches, and outfield coach. It's one of those where I was actually talking to one of the teammates about it yesterday, how it's some guys, I looked at Iglesias, I looked at Pilar. Those guys have been on new teams for the last 5 or 6 years, still playing, but and I told him, I said, that might be where I'm at now,
Mm-hmm.
But like you said, when you get older, that's kind of what happens. But it's been fun here this year so far.
Could you find happiness doing that, do you think, as a player?
What exactly?
Just being that guy like that goes from team to team, year to year, and is able to contribute, but has to live with the reality of a year to year deal. Would you be happy doing that?
Yeah, I think the certainty of knowing where you're going to be in spring training and that you're going to be there for a couple of years. When I signed that deal with Toronto, it's new. Like, okay, These are the relationships. I know I'm going to be here for at least 2 or 3 years of the 5 years, right? You guys aren't there the whole contract's guaranteed, but you're going to be there for a little while, and that aspect is nice. But it is cool to see other teams, how they go about their spring training, how they go about their day-to-day preparation, pregame, what their post-game looks like, and just meeting guys around the league and other coaches. So there's pros and cons to both sides. We'll say that.
What, if anything, have you noticed different about the Lourdes Gurriel you have as a teammate now compared to the Lourdes Gurriel you had as a teammate when you were with the Blue Jays?
Well, when I first met Gurry and was a teammate with him, he was an infielder.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously now he's an outfielder. He was an outfielder my last year or two in Toronto, but he's a heck of an outfielder. He's gotten unbelievable great at getting good jumps and good reads, but he's hitting for power now. I feel like when he got over here last year, I wasn't here, but they kind of changed his swing a little bit to drive the ball a little more, and it paid dividends. I think he had 20-something homers last year. He's got 10 to 15 homers already this year. He's unbelievable. I think we all knew, every player in Toronto knew at that time, that he had the hit tool. He just had a knack for finding the barrel and hitting the line drive. But now those line drives go out of the ballpark. So it's been fun to watch. It's been fun to play alongside of him again. He's a heck of a teammate, funny guy, one of the better ones that I've played with.
Randall, why is Christian Walker so good?
I think it's an attention to detail. I think he knows his body real well. I think he obsesses with the mechanics and the approach and just how to hit and all the little details that come along with it. He's constantly talking about hitting, and he's a powerful dude. So the chances are if he runs into one, it has a very good chance of leaving the yard. But, there's not a day or a time of the day that goes by that he's not talking about hitting, working on hitting, or thinking about hitting.
Yeah, and the baseball world doesn't really talk about him either. Maybe it's because he plays West Coast, the Diamondbacks, but it's rare that anybody ever says Christian Walker's name. And you look his stats up, and it's 22 big ones with 66 RBIs. It's like, and everybody's talking about, why aren't you talking about him? It's a weird thing.
It's unbelievable.
It is.
Defensively, he's the best defensive first baseman in the game. So you throw both of those into account, and it's like, honestly, I say the same thing you're saying. So you're preaching to the choir. Yeah.
Okay, Randall, this is the last one before we let you go. I think the last couple of times we've talked to you, I know we talked to you a couple of times when you first got here in 2018, and then it was sporadic when you've been on our show. And I've asked you, why is it so hard to hit pitching now? And since 2018, when you signed with the Blue Jays, until now that you're playing with the Diamondbacks, what's the biggest difference? Because hitting's down throughout the entire baseball world. Like, it's almost looking like it's impossible to hit. Gosman yesterday threw like 70 fastballs in 90 pitches. Like, it's crazy how hard pitching is to hit. But that, I think, is the big question, and a guy that's been sort of through the evolution of all of it. 2018 is when you started talking about how good pitching was, and now all of a sudden pitching's never been better. Why is pitching never been better?
So I would say from when I first entered the league in 2014, velo is drastically up one. So with velo being drastically up, you're speeding up the hitters. I think two, pitchers' movement on pitches has gotten unbelievably great.
Yeah.
I think they try to spin the heck out of the ball. I think harder. They throw their sliders, their curveballs, their changeups with more intent. So the movement is more, where I think maybe back in the day they were pitching to hit locations maybe, and now the stuff might not have been as great, and now I think it's moving a ton. But I think also, like, almost all the pitchers have a pitch that can run into you, drop, run away from you. A lot of four-seam has a ton of ride now. So, I mean, the pitcher literally can throw any pitch in any count. And, I mean, the stuff has just gotten unbelievable. We, as offensive players, talk about it all the time. Like, at what point is pitching going to plateau to a point of, like, hey, this is the best? Like, in 10 years, is it going to be even better? Like, it's hard to see in 10 years it being even as much as it's gotten better in the last 10 years. But breaking balls, heaters, everything has gotten better. It's a hard game to play.
It's crazy. Yeah.
Randal, listen, really good of you to join us today. Thanks so much. Stay healthy and continued success, my friend.
Thanks a lot, Randal.
Be well.
Thanks, buddy.
Thanks for having me. Talk to y'all later.
See ya.
Absolutely. That's Randal Grichuk of the
awesome.
Arizona Diamondbacks. And he's put together a really nice year. And there are, like I always remember guys like Don Baylor and that at the end of their career, guys that were never going to get multi-year contracts. Someone's always going to give them a job because they could hit a fastball and go get it.
Well, to your point, I was looking up his stats just to see if my question was warranted. And off the fastball, Randall's hitting 329. Off speed pitches, which is something straighter, right?
Yep.
Like a changeup, like a split finger, like something that has more straight and then downward movement to it, to where you can sort of manipulate the barrel and still catch it out front and have a chance of hitting 152 off the breaking ball. So basically, you can tell he's bought into one side of it and sort of eliminated the other side. If I hit something that's spinning, more power to me. But I'm going to hunt something straight and hard and get ready to hit it. Stats will back that up.
Doesn't that make sense for a guy who's going to come into a game? Because more often than not, you're going to face velo.
Well, that's what that 474 is, right?
But I love what he said about you come in, you got to get ready for the first pitch.
Yeah.
You got to get ready to do
like
damage.
You want to swing at your pitch, right? And it's never the easiest thing to do. That I think is he's hit on something with it's not so much the velocity. They've made enough adjustments now and shortened things up and eliminated some wasted movement that will give them a better chance to catch barrel and beat the dude to the spot. Now, how they've combated that is not only are they throwing it hard, it's moving later. So it's tunneling. It's looking like the velocity on the four-seamer, but now it either has run looking like a two-seamer, depending on what side of the plate you're hitting from, or it's cutting. So they can do it both sides of the plate, and the velocity variance between the four-seamer, the sinker, and the two-seamer and the cutter is not a great deal. So it's very hard to tell the difference. That's why hitting is so hard. And now all of a sudden there's not a fastball count. Like they will throw you a 3-0 breaking ball because they want to, and they can flip it in there and throw it for a strike. So, yeah, it's good luck. That's a lot of what it is now. And Randal made a good point about it. Can it ever get better than it is now? How would it get better? That's the $1 million question. And the better question is, how will hitting ever catch up? What can a hitter do to do something to combat the velocity with movement?
I mean, the problem.
What are you doing now?
The problem is, and we always talk about this with baseball, and it's what separates it from other sports. The first act of a baseball game, and I know you've heard me say this, the first act of a baseball game is a negative act. The pitchers, it's the only sport where the defense has possession of the ball. The goal in baseball is to not score. When I hold the ball, it's to make sure you don't score. Yeah. It's not like football where we're kicking off and you're going to have the ball and you're going to go down the field. It's not like hockey. We all want to score. No, the first thing as a pitcher I want to do is prevent you from doing anything. And I don't know how hitting catches up to it. I just don't, because you're always, and because pitchers don't have to hit anymore, all they have to do is work on what they're throwing, how they throw it. That's all they have to do.
And it's never been smarter. Like, I poke fun at the Khakis all the time, but the Khakis,
that's true.
Yeah, they're there to prevent runs. I mean, that's why
Yes,
they're there, is to keep a dude from hitting a ball really hard where somebody else can't catch it.
And where you really see it, I think, is the fact that organizations, unless you're, Paul Skeens, I mean, organizations really do treat pitchers like they're disposable. Let's just get as much as we can out of this guy's arm, and then we'll kick him to the curb.
Look at the race. I mean, that's what they do, right? They're running them through there. It's like a
How much can we get out of you?
Absolutely, as long as we can. And once we get you healthy, we'll trade you because we know it's going to happen again.
And the pitchers know it. And the pitchers say, all right, well, you know what? My career may only be 5 years. So what the hell? I'm going to let it eat for 4 of those years or 3 of those years. And if I have to spend half a year in somebody's IL, I got to spend half a year in somebody's IL. Kevin, I just don't know how. Aluminum bats.
I don't know how somebody get hurt.
No, I'm saying.
You imagine Vladdy using an aluminum bat as hard as he hits the ball.
I don't know. I don't know. You can't
doing something with the mound or moving the mound like they're. I mean, I'm sure there's something that Major League Baseball can do, but an actual hitter trying to combat or change something up to it's the movement with how hard they throw. Right? It's if you've most people haven't. But I have. And standing in a batter's box, even with a guy throwing 90, is not the easiest thing to do. But you got a half a split second longer to make up your mind. Now it's 95, 90. I mean, the average fastball now is pushing 94.
And the other thing, too.
Like, it's so hard to make up your mind whether you want to swing at it or not.
Yep.
And the elevated fastball now,
the other thing, too,
boy.
I think it was Passan that made this point, and it is true. You can go into a cage and you can have all that pre-programmed stuff, and it's throwing the pitch the exact same way you're going to see when you get out in the field, but you're not out in the field. You don't have the twilight. You don't have the shadows. You don't have the crowd.
Heartbeats going up.
Yeah.
And then you see people like Bassitt throwing the elevated two-seamers and the elevated cutters. I mean, who in their right mind would ever think about doing that? That was a no-no when I played. You never did that, right? It's too easy to get that ball in the air. Why would you ever do that? Now because you don't throw as hard as you used to throw and you want to miss the barrel, get off the sweet spot, how do you do it? Because people don't like the elevated fastball? Yeah. You do it with a little bit of movement. And that gets back to that khaki thing. So,
yeah, I don't know. I
don't know how you ever do it. Maybe it is what it is.
I mean, the athletes have never been better. Hitters as athletes have never been better than they are now.
It's not like they can work out more or
exactly
less. Or
we already went through the whole steroid thing.
Yeah.
So
maybe it is baseball is what baseball is now. This is what you got to get used to watching.
I honestly think that this is the way it's going to be. And you've got the pitch clock in. I mean, you've controlled how many times pitchers can step off. I mean, it's not like they haven't done stuff to pitchers, because they have. Every year, the past couple of years, there's been something added to impact on the pitching. The pitchers just kind of go, whatever.
Hitters would say that's more of a hurry up and get me out thing. that has no bearing on what me as a hitter is going to try and do to combat 98 with late movement.
That's what I'm saying. There's no.
Yeah, and then we had Jason Stark on a couple of days ago who said the outfielders never played deeper. So now all of a sudden, the smart people running baseball teams are going, oh, yeah, now you're trying to hit all these fly balls. Well, we're going to give you the little blooper, but we're going to take away the extra base hit. It's like, danged if you do, danged if you don't.
I almost hate to say it, but I almost think it's going to come down to they're going to have to do something to the baseball. They're going to have to quote unquote juice the baseball.
You know what?
That's the only thing I see, Kevin. I don't know if that's going to make any difference.
Here's the deal. It's like the top end hitter who is raking these kind of pitchers will say, now hold on now. I'm doing it. Let everybody else catch up. Yeah. And the pitcher's going to say, well, I've made all the adjustments. I've worked out with all them camps. I'm throwing hard. Let them figure it out.
John Schneider's manager of the Toronto Blue Jays. He's got to figure some things out. He's actually done a pretty good job of it the past couple of series. Let's see if he can do it again tonight. 9:40 is the first pitch tonight. Jays and Diamondbacks. The manager of the Blue Jays, John Schneider, joins us next. It's Blair and Barker on Sportsnet 590 The Fan and Sportsnet. All right, welcome back to Blair and Barker on Sportsnet 590, the Fan at Sportsnet. A reminder that Mr. Barker and myself are going to be taking some time off during the All-Star break. We'll be back a week from today.
Huh?
Yeah, we're coming back Friday. We have tickets to give away to see the Jays and the Rays at the Rogers Center. Should we do that now?
Absolutely.
While we wait for John Schneider?
Yeah.
What do you think, Derek? You make the call. Should we do it? Oh, then we won't. Then we'll wait.
Yeah.
Because we're going to have John Schneider in 20 seconds. So we'll do the trivia. The trivia question is disgustingly easy, but the back leg line is 416-413-3959. It's your chance to leave questions, comments for Kevin, and we'll get to the back leg line at 5:30. But without further ado, let's bring in the manager of the Toronto Blue Jays from Arizona, John Schneider. How you doing, man?
What's up, guys?
Hey, buddy.
It's Arizona.
Doing well. It's hot, man. Arizona's hot.
How hot is it?
Plane was like, I think yesterday it said 108. Today's supposed to be 114. Feels like, but dry heat, as they say.
Yes.
Dry heat.
Yeah.
Glad the roof's closed.
Yeah, that is
Man.
Well, you must have been in Arizona this time.
I have, but I don't remember 114. That's hot.
Global warming, my friend.
Man.
Global warming.
Not
Just
great.
some business get out of the way, John. Just wondering if there's any updates on Dalton, Bo, and Jimmy Garcia in particular.
Jimmy's going to pitch tonight in AAA, feeling better, so he's going to pitch an inning tonight. Varsh, think he should be good to go today. Just kind of waiting to see how he gets through the first, initial things when he gets in. And Bo still day to day. He's not going to be in the starting lineup today. Still kind of working through best steps for him this series and kind of going forward. So see how he is today. Probably make a decision at some point today with Bo whether he's going to be stay active or go on the IL.
Before we get to tonight's game and look back a little bit on that San Francisco series, there was a report yesterday in game about Kevin Kiermaier going on waivers. I know that he spoke to Shai and you spoke to Shai and I was just wondering, John. I mean, first of all, we know the waiver process is supposed to be secret, or it's not supposed to be public, I guess is the way to put it. What was that conversation like for you? And because, again, it's supposed to be a secret process. It's out there. You've basically got to address the situation. Like, I don't know how many times you've had to talk to players about there's a report out there that you have been placed on waivers, and I just want you to know, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. How difficult was that discussion?
Yeah, I mean, it's right after you win a game and win a series. And I think out of respect for Kev, just wanted to have him hear it from me and from the organization. Saw it online or something like that. It's players like that, Kev understood it. He understands where he is, kind of where we are, all that kind of stuff. He understood it. It's something that's new and it's a little bit awkward, but he's cleared and he's with us today, playing today. It's part of the business. I think that, Kev's been around 10 years. He kind of gets it. He understands, how it works. So it was, pretty straightforward. It's always tough because, you're having that conversation because you're not where you're at and the individual probably isn't where he's at, isn't at where he wants to be. So, Kev understood it pretty quick and, happy that he's still here.
Danny Jansen hit his first home run since May 20th. Anything you saw differently from the home run mechanically, mentally, that will tell you maybe he's going to start hitting a few more of those?
I think he's got to just drop to a knee every swing.
Absolutely.
And he'll hit it out.
Yep.
Worked for Reggie Jackson, didn't it?
Why not? If it ain't broke, don't fix it.
Yeah. No, he caught a sinker that he got in the air. I think Jano, when he's going good, he can do that. And, he's slowly kind of getting back to what has made him a good offensive player over the last couple of years, which is getting the head out and pulling the ball and getting in the air, Been an up and down, awesome start for him, obviously, and then kind of a little bit of a lull of a rough patch. A lot goes into it, he just had a baby, he missed some time, his performance, this time of year, all that kind of stuff, probably a lot going on in his head, but the last week, his work has been better, and I think just, understanding what a pitcher's trying to do, and he matched up pretty well against 6 yesterday. But I think with him though, he needs to kind of continue to do that for us going forward. I mean, that's just a big boost to our lineup if he's doing that.
How hard is it to make an adjustment when you're a pull hitter? They made an adjustment by flipping him a bunch of stuff away, trying to force him to try to maybe think more right center than up the middle to the pull side. Is it tough to do that? I mean, he's standing around on top of the plate. I've never tried to do that, but I would think that's not the easiest thing to do, to let it travel and just flip a slider to right field. Is that tough for a pull hitter to try and do that?
Yeah, I mean, he's very deliberate with what he's trying to do, and I think during that time where he wasn't going great, teams were throwing a lot of soft stuff going away. He was seeing more changeups from righties. I think he's not going to change his approach per se. At that point, it comes down to pitch selection, You're only as good as what you can handle, what you swing at. And I think for Jano, it's, okay, recognizing I'm being pitched this way, but it doesn't mean I have to swing at that. I still need to try to force and work at bats, work counts into where he can handle the ball. And, sometimes it doesn't happen for a few games in a row, but he needs to kind of just stick with that. It's, he can still hit breaking balls, change ups the way he wants to hit them. He just has to get him in the right spot.
Because of the finger, has Vladdy had to make adjustments offensively to try and have the same slug that he had been having before he got hit on the finger?
I don't think so. I mean, at the first day or two after, he was a little sore. We saw him lose the bat a couple times in Seattle, but I think he's fine. He just missed a couple balls in San Fran, right center and left field, but he's feeling fine, and I don't think it's going to affect him one bit going forward.
John, how good is it for Chris Bassitt and Kevin to go into the All-Star break? I mean, I know that I'm sure Chris would have preferred maybe a little better outing. He scuffled a little bit, but the team won both of their starts. Now they get to take a breath in the middle of the season. How important was it for those two guys in particular to kind of go into the break feeling good, right? And I know Chris talked about he wants to work on some stuff, but I mean, I'm sure Chris is working on some stuff 24/7 anyhow. But that had to feel good, I think, for them.
Yeah, I think especially for Kev yesterday. They're super aggressive on his heater yesterday. I thought he located it fairly well against his former team there, and going 7 innings was big for Kev after the outing he had in Seattle. And for Chris, in typical Chris fashion, he comes in, grinds through 5 innings after 63 pitches through 2. First thing he says to me yesterday is, "Hey, I'm available to pitch on Sunday if you need me." That's just kind of how he is. So we'll see how that, if we even need that. But it is good, I think, for both of those guys who have been such a stabilizing force in our rotation through good times and bad. Just guys you can count on. I think like Chris's outing could have went sideways. It could have totally went sideways after a tough game the first night there. And the fact that he was able to kind of settle in and give us a chance to come back, that gets kind of overlooked as opposed to some of his dominant outings. So really good for those guys, veteran guys, to kind of, end their half on a good note. We'll see how we line them up after the break, and hopefully they can continue to keep going. Especially, it was good for Kev. It was good for Goss.
John, all those veteran guys that you just mentioned, they're all predictable. Like when you see them doing something mechanical, you can basically, mark down a sort of what they're going to give you that outing. Is Yariel Rodriguez getting close to being predictable every start now?
Yeah, good question. I think he's getting predictable in a good way, but staying unpredictable in a good way, if that makes sense.
Absolutely.
Stuff, you know what I mean? But I think he's comfortable in this routine now, this starter's routine. And I think he's understanding how his pitches play, especially his fastball. I think he was a little breaking ball heavy. Even, the first outing when he came back in Cleveland, understanding that his fastball is a really good pitch when it's in, and just being in the zone with it. Not trying to strike guys out, not trying to be too fine with it. But I do think he is really taking some good steps into being a bona fide starter, and understanding how his stuff works in the zone, not just, getting in and getting out of the zone, but getting outs in the zone.
John, it's been impressive watching Leo Jimenez kind of find his footing early in his career. What have you seen from him that you really like? I know Kevin's talked about how he does seem to have an idea at the plate. We've seen him take some
pitchers' pitches.
Yeah, we've seen him take some pitchers' pitches and look like a guy who kind of has an idea up there.
Yeah, I think the biggest step for him this year was kind of controlling the zone, which he showed in AAA, and it's translated in a short amount of time here. I've been impressed with that, with him controlling the zone at the plate. I've been impressed with this clock in the field. You know, I said yes. Finally got his first couple ground balls out of the way at short. When he came up, you know, I think I said to Hazel back at home where you almost want him to play with a little bit more up tempo because he's such an even keeled guy. But I think what you're seeing is that even keeled temperament really kind of paid dividends for him right now. And he's been good. You know, first RBI, first hits out of the way. You know, stepped into the game when Bo went out and was ready to roll. He's been pretty impressive so far.
With Spencer at second base, before we jump into his offensive side of the ball, with him at second base, what are you seeing? What are you liking? And is there something that you would like to see maybe a little bit more of, maybe accuracy of arm? Like, is there something that you obviously notice that maybe if he did a little bit more of that, it would make him a better second baseman?
Yeah, sure. I mean, first and foremost, I think he's pleasantly surprising us day in, day out with, you know, play yesterday against Yastrzemski, kind of up the middle to his right. Taking a good angle on that ball. He's been solid on the routine play, solid on the double play. I think things that he can continue to get better on, it's the kind of in-between plays. It's when balls go out in the gap, where is he going, making sure he's lined up correctly, talking to Vladdy, who's the lead guy, who's the trail guy. Things like that just are kind of, you know, more instincts, you know, when you play there more, you kind of feel more comfortable with it. Those are the type of things that we're always talking to him. Carlos is talking to him every single inning about. But man, I mean, you can't ask for much more for a guy who's been a first baseman going over to second base in the big leagues, and you feel pretty good about him.
How's he been able to slug more to the pull side?
Good question. Again, younger hitter, right? And I think what has led to a lot of his success is understanding how he's going to be pitched and really trusting information and not being afraid to take shots. I think when he first got up here, you saw, when was it, Milwaukee maybe, you saw a lot of guys going in, two-seam cutter, you know, and trying to jam him a little bit. And I think his response was great to where, you know, instead of trying to pull it foul, he's like, hey, I'm not going to swing at that. So it kind of speaks to his mentality. And, you know, when he gets a chance to let it eat, he's letting it eat. You know what I mean? Yesterday was a breaking ball 1-0 that, you know, that's not easy to do, you know, to put that ball into the cove there on a 1-0 hanging breaking ball. But I think it's having the right approach, having the right mindset. And he knows when to let it eat, and he knows when to kind of let it get a little deeper and fight some stuff off and try to get on base. So I think that's what it is. But been again pleasantly surprised with the power he's shown.
Lefty and righty. He hitting second from now on, rest of the season.
Man, he's pretty close. You know, I think, you know, the day Snell starts, you know, I probably took a lot of heat for not having him in there, but he did come in and get the rally started with the double. But I mean, I think he's proven that, right? Every pitcher's a little bit different, you know, and I think guys like him, Schneider, Leo, Ernie, they understand, you know, I'm trying to put them in spots where they're going to have success. Now, is Spence really opening some eyes, whether it's Framber Valdez, Josh Hader, you know, these guys? Yeah, he's done a really good job. I don't know if it'll be second in the lineup. You know, you may move it a little bit, you know, against a lefty, but you know, I think he's done enough to say, all right, I'm ready to roll.
Well, I was all over you about the Springer leading off thing, and obviously I was wrong. So I will never doubt you again. I mean, I even came on our show and apologized to you. I know you weren't listening, but I apologize to you for absolutely not knowing anything that I know anything whatsoever about how to make out a lineup. So you mentioned Ernie. I do want to ask about him. He's hit a couple of homers. He's had 11 total bases in his last 3 games. It's free and easy. It looks simple. Is there something you've seen that maybe he's tapped into a little bit more power lately?
I think he did that last year, to be honest with you, in Buffalo, and then, you know, you didn't really see it in the big leagues. But I think him understanding how to be a little bit more intentful with his swings early in counts and being able to adjust to pitches up and down in the zone. You know, he hits a changeup from Webb that's like way down in the zone. That's the credit to his work. That's the credit to his work with the hitting guys and being able to adjust to pitches up and down. But I think Ernie, you know, he makes so much contact, and I think kind of what you saw were pitches kind of where he can lift it a little bit easier for the home runs. And sometimes the blessing is the curse. Sometimes it's I can hit everything, so I'm going to swing. So I think, the last series or so, he's gotten pitches in the right zone, albeit one of them was at 2 strikes. And I think that just goes down to the work that he's been doing with his swing.
Yeah.
John, how does Zach Pop's cutter make his sinker better? Because we've seen him get some responsible. He's been put in some responsible roles here recently.
Great question. It's kind of unnoted because he's throwing 96 mile an hour cutters and a 96 mile an hour sinker. That's pretty tough. I thought the pitch to Chappie the other day was actually a sinker, and look up and it was a cutter that he got him on the flyout, I believe. But man, with Zach's stuff, and we've been saying this since we acquired him, it's so good. It's a lot like Little, where his stuff is so good. Get it in the zone and don't get hurt. The addition of the cutter, it just keeps hitters a little bit in between. It's not like you're going to come in and sit first pitch sinker and try to get underneath it. If you're a righty, you can get a first pitch cutter going the other way and you're going to grind out a third. So I think having that in the back of their mind has been good. And then, it comes down to him making pitches with it. It comes down to him having some confidence in throwing it and the catcher's putting it down. So I think they're all on the same page with it. But again, he's one of those guys that we're asking to step up in situations where you have a lot of your guys that you don't really, or that you're not used to not having. Guys like him and Nate, Trev, Burr, it's like, okay, here's your shot. So take advantage of it. It's been a good couple outings for Zach with the cutter.
You mentioned Trevor. I think lately, and you know this better than anybody, he sort of abuses that changeup. I mean, now it's almost 70-30 throwing that changeup to fastball. He's almost predictable. Any worry that, and would that change maybe of how you use him and what inning you might use him in because of the way he uses the changeup as much?
Yeah, I mean, I don't think he's aware of that. And I think that when Trev's really, the changeup is such a unique pitch, you know what I mean? It's different than any other changeup or even split. So hitters they're looking for it. If Trev the key with Trev is just getting ahead. If he can land it for strike one or get ahead with strike one with his fastball, I think he's just in the driver's seat. He's just so much more effective. So that's kind of what I'm always banking on. So if it's the 8th inning, if it's the 9th inning, if it's the 6th inning, I'm banking on the best version of that guy coming out of the pen with good location. So if Trev can get ahead of hitters, I really don't think it matters what inning he's going in. Pretty matchup proof righties and lefties because of that pitch. But again, it just comes down to him getting ahead of the hitters and going to work. So it's I think the pitch is that good to where you can kind of be sitting on it and still not do much with it. But it all starts with him getting ahead in the count.
What do you got planned for the All-Star break?
Heading home to Florida after the game Sunday. I'll be the guy with the family hanging out by the pool, turning off baseball for a little bit, but looking forward to getting home to my own bed.
Yeah.
Awesome,
man. Listen, we appreciate your time. Go get him tonight and travel safely and enjoy the break.
Yeah, good luck.
All right, guys. Thanks. You guys enjoy your break too. I heard you got a week off. So.
Yeah.
Awesome. We'll the next time you see us will be the first time we're back in studio.
That's awesome.
All right, perfect.
You get a break from us as well. Thanks, man.
See you, buddy. Good luck.
Talk soon.
Take care. John Schneider, manager of the Blue Jays. Interesting, Spencer Horwitz.
Yeah, I mean he's not married to the 2-hole. Which look, I can get both. Like on the list of things this team needs to worry about. That's I can. Does he have a better option? Tell me it.
I mean, I don't know. It would depend on who's pitching.
No, he doesn't. Say it. You can say it. No. Like right now, the at-bats with him, no matter if that guy's a lefty or righty, are better than the other righty that he can throw in there. I know John knows his team better.
Yeah, but I was going to say, he did refer, like, I'm going to have a hard time forgetting how Spencer Horwitz looked against Valdez and Hader. You know what I mean? That's what kind of sticks in my mind. But I think you kind of got. I think what John was saying without really coming out and saying is essentially, let's see what the team looks like after the trade deadline. You may be seeing.
If Vladdy's here, he's hitting second. Like, it's easy.
But let's see what else. Let's see what the team acquire. I mean, I think John has to.
Yeah.
I don't think there's a whole hell of a lot definite with this team right now, other than Vladdy's hitting third.
And Springer's leading off.
for now. But I mean,
No,
I don't
doesn't sound
think
like that's changing unless they trade him.
I don't think there's anything, other than that.
Yeah.
But
I think the cutter from Pop is interesting. I think it's sometimes hard for him to set the lane with the two-seamer. It's not a sinker. It's a two-seamer. And as hard as he throws, it's non-competitive a bunch of times. So a lot of good hitters eliminate that, especially when he has to face a left-handed hitter who can eliminate that side of the plate and know he's going in there. And now all of a sudden you can even get a called strike on a cutter in, and now the red flag goes up if you're a hitter and you're going, uh-oh, now what do I do? Because he's got 96 both sides of the plate.
It's weird.
Now I got to protect both sides.
I feel, and I've said this, I felt since they got him that there's something there. No idea what it is. I know originally
Natural movement.
when they acquired him, there was some talk that he was a guy they were going to groom for a ninth inning. I don't know if he's got that. I mean, I think that ship has sailed. But
have a different heartbeat.
There is something there. Yeah, absolutely. But I mean, I think when they acquired him, they thought that, let's see what we have here. Let's see if we can harness it. But there's something there. I don't know what it is, and maybe the cutter is.
As long as he's getting some called strikes with it, you got to get some called strikes. If you don't, they're going to eliminate. Well, it's the big leagues. If you don't, they eliminate one side of the plate. They look right down the middle, and if a hitter lets Pop throw enough, sooner or later he's going to throw you one down the middle.
And you also know that what happens when you pitch in a late inning, what I'm going to call a responsible role, the hitters are zeroed in more too, because you're coming in probably with men on base, or it's going to be, if you're getting leverage, that means
teams you faced before, innings, same part of the lineup you faced before, having a better game plan against you. When you can be a little bit more unpredictable. Look, John was mentioning with the cutter.
Or teams will pinch hit. He's the type of guy teams might pinch hit against.
Yeah, I mean, a natural movement that hard, I don't think it matters lefty or righty. It's just getting it in the zone. It's being competitive with it. It's getting some called strikes that are not down the middle. He does that because of that movement and the arm angle that he's got. Why not?
We've been giving you the chance to win Blue Jays tickets all season long here in Blair and Barker. All you have to do is text the correct answer to our daily baseball trivia question to 590-590. Standard message and data rates may apply. Our last question and answer was Daniel Norris, Matthew Boyd, and Jairo Labur
Living in a van down by the river. Daniel Norris.
Were traded to the Detroit Tigers at the 2015 trade deadline for what pitcher?
His words, not mine.
The answer was David Price. Do you remember when I asked Gibby the one time, how come Daniel Norris sounded so smart and you sounded the way you did, and he was from
Why do you
Virginia
continue
as
to
well?
want to bring this
Gibby
up?
said it's because he was on the other side of the mountain. I just thought that's.
Do you think that's funny?
I thought it was a classic.
Do, huh?
I really did. It's one of the funniest things Gibby said. Today's question is to win tickets to see Jays and Rays at the Rogers Center on Tuesday, July 23rd. On September 25th, 2003, this Toronto Blue Jay hit 4 home runs against the then Tampa Bay Devil Rays. Who was it?
He's left-handed.
It's the only guy this team's had that's going to hit. That's not true. No, that's not true.
They've had a bunch of them right-handed.
I take that back. Anyhow, today's question, as I said, is to win tickets to see the Jays and Rays at the Rogers Center on Tuesday, July 23rd. On September 25th, 2003, this Toronto Blue Jay hit 4 home runs against the then Tampa Bay Devil Rays. Who was it? Text the answer to 590-590 for your shot to win. See rules at sportsnet.ca/590 without question. Standard message and data rates may apply.
There you
go. Best hitter on the Blue Jays.
No, not on the Blue. The history of the Blue Jays.
In the history of the Blue Jays. Non-Roberto Alomar division.
Who would you rather have up? That guy or Alomar? Down a run, 9th inning, bases loaded. Tick-tock, buddy. Tick-tock, tick-tock, tick-tock.
I would say...
think long, think wrong.
Yeah.
So you have no idea. Just say it. I have no idea.
I mean, I think he's...
Can't go wrong?
Statistically, he was here for so long. Yeah, I'll say I'll agree.
Can't go wrong.
I'll agree with you.
You can't go wrong?
He was a remarkable... Robbie Alomar was a terrific player, all-around player. He's like watching a gymnast in the infield. He was so good. He was such a great... Carlos, though...
Wait, there you go. Bing, bang, boom. It's Friday. I mean, everybody knew that anyway. It's not like you told people something they didn't already know.
Yeah, this guy could roll
It's
out.
amazing that you make more money
guy,
than I make on the show, though, because I'd have never done that.
This guy could roll out of bed and hit doubles. And
See, I was circling the wagons. I was still talking about him and not giving away his name. Look what you did. You just jumped right in there. Feet first. Look at me. Car.
416-413. I'm just, now I'm all messed up.
Yeah.
416-413-3959 is the back leg line. We will get to it on Friday. It is Friday. We always get to the back leg line. I don't know what I'm saying. We're going to take a break and come back and straighten this out. It's Blair and Barker.
I'm right here, buddy.
On Sportsnet 590, The Fan, and Sportsnet. My microphone works fine.
There you go. Well, you were talking and nobody could hear you.
I could hear.
Might be a good
I just
thing.
made a joke about you and your hairball.
I know.
Or fur ball or
That
whatever.
cigar I had earlier.
Yeah, you gotta cut down on those, man.
You don't tell me what to do. I get told enough what to do. You ain't going to do it. Okay?
Every time I call you, all I hear is smoking a cigar.
It's not true. You know, actually what I'm doing is sitting on my deck trying to figure out what I'm going to say to make you mad, to get this show all fired up.
I can always
and have
tell.
buddies of mine going, you dudes are on fire today.
I can
Let's
always
see.
tell when you're smoking a cigar. You get the you puff away on the phone, and then you get the
Trying to give you a
Spit it
hint.
out.
See ya.
It's Friday. That means we go to the back leg line. 416-413-3959 is the number to call. Should I run through this? The list here?
Giddy up, buddy.
Giddy up. It's because it's Friday. 4 days off. Just around the corner.
Okay. Let's
Jim from Calgary.
Hey guys, it's Jim from Calgary.
I know, I said that.
Great interview with Pete Walker. I know, Kevin, you love him to death.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's
I would have been
obvious.
curious, and maybe the next time you guys have him on, I would have been curious if you would have asked him if during Springer's slump and with Bassitt in a big slump, if they ever come and talk to him about how they might be able to see the ball better or get his insights as a pitching guru to help them hit. Anyway, just really curious about that stuff because, he would have a different perspective. Anyway, enjoy the show as always, guys.
Thanks,
Bye.
Jim.
Yeah, that's an interesting question. I mean, my first reaction was, why not? I mean, they got 13 other guys that ain't working. I go ask the pitching.
Well, we used to do that all the time. I used to do that all the time.
Really?
Minor leagues, big leagues, no matter where I was at.
Pitchers or pitching coaches?
Both.
Okay.
Both.
Okay.
Like if you ever saw me with a pitcher, that usually meant I was stinking, and I was trying to figure out how to fix it. And if he was facing me, what would you throw me? Why would you throw me this?
Was it Curtis Laskanik
used
was
to
the
tell
guy?
me, yeah, he was beating me on the on-deck circle, which I've never believed that. I mean, I'm a giant human. Do I look like a child over there? And then you start to roll video back of how you look on the on-deck circle and how really good hitters have at bats on the on-deck circle and how occasionally you'll see a good pitcher peek over to see who's on the on-deck circle and they'll actually pay a little attention to what he looks like. Is he paying attention to you? And then you start to put two and two together, that kind of thing. So, yeah, I think the iPad's ruined all that. I would think the communication factor between conversations that a in-the-game situation between that I would have, that older guys would have, when there was no iPad, there was not 17 hidden coaches, there was normally one guy, there was a pitching coach. That was the conversations you were having. What are you seeing? How's it look? Does it look like it looked 3 hours ago when I was hitting balls to the moon? And that was how you would sort of translate the information. Hopefully don't do the same bad thing over and over again. So, yeah, I think a lot of that used to happen a lot more off the field than in the game. Now,
And also,
I've asked a bunch of good hitters that. I think relationship between pitching coach and hitters would have to be really good.
Yeah.
I think relationship between a hitting coach and a hitter would have to be good enough that if a hitting coach was to see a good hitter talking to a pitching coach about what the heck's going on and why is this guy, throwing me this way, and then you don't come to the hitting coach.
Yeah.
I mean, there's 30 of them for the Blue Jays. Like, sooner or later, you're going to go to one of the 30, and they're going to get it right.
They multiply like rabbits.
Sooner or later, you're going to go to the right one. He's going to say the right thing, Springer. It's just sooner or later, somebody's going to say the right thing.
Door number 6.
Bat straight up, down. Gravity. Boom. 98, I'm destroying. Oh, it's like it took 95 of them to finally tell you that 3.5 months in. So, Jim, that's a tremendous question.
It is good.
But the people that I have talked to, I don't think that happens as much now as it used to happen because now they have so much technology. And let's be honest, hitting coaches now have lots of feelings.
Well, I was also going to say that I think there's so much information out there now, and so much of it is available electronically that I do wonder how much of that personal conversation goes on.
Yeah.
I mean, I always remember our friend Pat Henkin talking about how Robbie Alomar came up to him one day and said, come here with me.
You're tipping pitches.
We're going out to the outfield.
This
and
is what you're doing.
He was showing him how he was tipping pitches.
Absolutely.
And I think that I think that still happens, but
the tipping part's different than how would you throw me? What are you saying?
Why is it
Bassitt's real good at reading bats?
Right,
you think Bassett's going to walk up to Bo Bichette and go, "If I were facing you, this is what I'd throw you"? It ain't happening
because you might be facing me in another 2 weeks.
It ain't happening. So just that's why. And there's lots of feelings there. Like there just is. And used to there wasn't as much. Like it was everybody pulling in the same direction, trying to do the same thing. It ain't. I don't mean that in a bad way.
I know what
but
you're
there's
saying.
so much now individual technology that you can walk up to and just scroll it.
Yeah.
Play and actually see it taking place. And now they can read how your bat speed is, and they don't even have to be there anymore. So I just don't. I think I know it used to happen a ton when I played.
And from Toronto.
Hi, this is Anne from Toronto.
Hi.
I've called a couple of times this season, but this is probably the one that I would most want answered. It seems to me, watching Bo Bichette, that he doesn't want to be a Jay anymore. He is frustrated, you can tell, but he's frustrated more by his personal situation than he is about the team that he's letting down. I really appreciate your thoughts on that. It just seems to me, the look on his face, how he's reacting, his shoulders, I just don't think he wants to be a Jay anymore, and that's fine. Thanks for answering. Bye.
Yeah, this is you go ahead first.
Ann, we really appreciate you calling in.
Yeah.
I have no idea how you would see that, Ann. Like the way he looks is the way a 222 hitter looks. That's the way you're supposed to look. The actual mental part of saying that he looks like he don't want to be a Blue Jay anymore. What does that look like?
Yeah, I'll say a couple of things about that. Bo looks to me like a guy who wishes 2024 was either over or he could have a redo of it.
222.
He's a 222 hitter.
No, ever hit 222?
Now, I am going to say this. As someone who has said that this was probably what the dying days of the Bo Bichette Vladdy era was going to look like if they didn't have these guys signed long-term. And I'm not talking about buying out arbitration, but I'm saying if they didn't have these guys by now signed to a long-term contract, I'm not surprised by anything we've seen. The fact that Bo gave that interview in San Francisco, and I heard people saying, oh, boy, everybody was reacting because of what Bo said. And Bo was, when you really listen to what he said and da. Here's the thing. Bo hasn't done a lot of those interviews with out-of-town media. You do an interview with the pregame show of another team the year before you become a free agent, it's not an accident. I can tell you, as someone, I told the story on J.D. Bunkus' show earlier today, covering the Montreal Expos. Tim Raines is a year away from free agency. Every city, easy article. Tim, would you like to play in St. Louis? Well, St. Louis, boom, Tim Raines. I wouldn't mind playing in St. Louis. Headline, easy headline, done. And then, that's just the way it is. So, no, I don't think Bo is tired of being a Blue Jay based on what I'm seeing on the field. I think Bo is probably already come to the conclusion that he is not going to be here long term. And I think once you make that mental break, this is what you end up getting. And I've said this about Bo. And I talked to Caleb about this. Bo, if you get him at the right time, is fundamentally incapable of being dishonest. There are some guys who will BS you to the hilt. You get Bo in the right frame of mind at the right time, he will be brutally honest with you.
Yeah, look, there's a couple of things. I think off season, I think he's very frustrated with what they didn't do to solidify the lineup, make the lineup better.
That is true. And I don't think it's all Bo. You're right. I don't want to make it say it's all Bo money and contract.
Let's not lie about that. They gave him a 3-year deal. Let's not lie about that. Like you still got an obligation to show up for the team that has given you lots of money. They have given him lots of money. Whatever they haven't done that for Vladdy. They didn't buy out arbitration years. No, they took him to court. They didn't do that. So they were buying into
and it's odd
making him happy as the everyday shortstop for the Toronto Blue Jays. So you got to remember that part of it too. Yeah. Do I like that he said that? No, I don't. He has an employer. Like he works for the Toronto Blue Jays. Like that's again, life. They've given him money.
But what
to
he
work
said,
here.
see, this is what I'm getting at. What he said was very smart. Because he didn't slag the Blue Jays. He was asked a question, and he said that the important thing is playing for an organization that committed to winning.
I think it's the part where to actually put yourself in the position to have to answer the question. That's it. I mean, you're hitting 220. Like the bottom line is you're hitting 220. And the expectations were off the charts coming into this season.
What Ann said is right.
It is. I don't know what that looks like.
Well, otherwise, why would he do it?
I don't know what that.
Why would he do it?
Who knows? You have to ask Bo. But I know. I've hit 220. I know what it looks like.
Well,
that's what it looks like.
I'm just saying. We've talked about this.
I don't know what that looks like.
Do I think Bo needs a change of scenery? Yeah, I think he needs an absolute change of scenery.
Yeah, I think it has to be the exact right team. I think the team has to be a winning team all the time. Yeah.
Well,
that's what I think.
Essentially what he said.
That's what he said.
Basically, go to Carolyn from Acton, Ontario.
It's a great question, Ann.
It is.
Yeah, it got us fired.
Hi, it's a question for Kevin. I've watched baseball all my life, and I'm trying to wrap my head around why would they trade Danny Jansen when they have to have two catchers, and why would they not trade Kirk? I'm just trying to understand the reasoning there. I know all this trade talk and everything, but that doesn't really make sense to me unless it's something that I'm missing. Okay, thanks. Love your show.
Thank you.
Especially when you get Jeff upset.
Absolutely.
Bye. It's Carolyn and Acton.
Awesome. Thanks for calling. Thanks for
I'm
listening.
not going to answer
this is an easy answer. One you can trade, one you can't. It's easy.
Well, and Danny, the other part is Danny's a free agent. You're not going to have him next year.
One you can trade, one you can't.
Yeah, but you're not going to have Danny next year anyhow.
One you can trade, one you can't. It's like one's an asset for going forward to the future for the Blue Jays, and one is, I'm talking about what you would get for Danny. You're not trading Kirk to get anything. Like, no, who wants Kirk? Who's going to stand? They've tried this.
Yeah, you're probably not going to.
They went down that road to try and.
Yeah, but the point is, you're not going to get much for either of them. The reason you would trade Danny is because he isn't going to be here next year.
Yeah, sounds like they've tried to sign him too, and that didn't work.
No, Shane from Halifax.
It's a good question.
Hi guys, great show.
Thanks, buddy.
This question's more for Kevin, as he was an ex-player. With Kevin Kiermaier being put on waivers yesterday, how do the players feel about that when they're saying we're still in this and we're going to give it all we got. But with Kiermaier going on waivers, does that not tell you that management is thinking a different thing? Anyway, guys, great show. Watch all the time.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thanks, Shane. Look, I think that's a fair question, but I do think most of the guys that have been talking about that we still have a chance are veteran guys, been around long enough to understand where the clubhouse is at, where the team is at, where they're at in the standings. They see the writing on the wall. Like, there's a lot of common sense happening in that room. So, look, again, I think sometimes people need to understand that baseball is still a very individual game. You have friends and you're going to miss them, but it's a very individual game. And until it actually happens to you, this is life. This is the way it is. Like, your buddies are going to go. They're going to come and they're going to go. And when your team has tremendous expectations and they're not living up to it,
I don't
buddies tend to go.
I don't think there's a person in that team who was surprised that they'd be breaking this up.
Nope.
And I don't think there's a person in that team who would be surprised that Kevin Kiermaier's on.
I think
by the way, we should mention, according to John, he's cleared waivers.
Yeah.
So
that's shocking.
Let's see where that goes. What? No. Oh, hell no. No.
Look at your face. You know,
he's a bench player.
We know that. I just
really
said that to get you fired.
Didn't get me.
It did. You yelled at me.
Didn't get me fired up. Bob from Toronto.
Bob.
Hi, Jeff. Hi, Kevin.
Hey, Bob.
It's Bob from Toronto again. Just like to talk about discipline and respect. I'm thinking of John, and the manager of the Blue Jays, John Schneider. I'm wondering if he has been too close to too many of the players on the way up through the minor league system and now in the Jays, such that, he just doesn't carry the level of discipline and respect. I mean, respect for what he's saying to them, not respect for him as an individual. I'm sure they all like him in many ways. But I think now it's about time that somebody who has a respect from playing the game, like Mattingly and so on, is given the reins such that he can call the shots. Sure, he's going to get information from the khakis, but basically he has the overall wherewithal and respect to call the shots and to say to players, no, you're not doing the job right now. This is what you need to do, and I want you to start doing this now.
I mean, he's been there for 2 years. I don't think there's anything stopping Don Mattingly from exercising some sort of influence. Yeah, again, his title is offensive coordinator. I don't know what it means, but as I said last night, the Blue Jays are offensively uncoordinated. So
2 times in 2 days.
Yeah, I've been waiting to say that. But it's true. Do I think that the players would respond any different to Don Mattingly? I think there are guys in that clubhouse who are probably vaguely aware that Don Mattingly was a major leaguer. They know about it, but I think there are probably guys in the clubhouse that have no clue what type of a major leaguer Don Mattingly was.
I think a manager's only as good as his players.
Yeah.
I think right now, consistently, the talent level on an everyday basis is just not there for the Blue Jays, 1 through 26.
And I was going to say this: if John Schneider is too close to some of the players coming up, you'd have a hard time telling that to Bo Bichette, who he's managed all the way up and who
moved all over the
lineup. So, I think sometimes people misinterpret the fact that John has a lot of institutional knowledge or had a lot of institutional knowledge about players at the minor league level, with meaning that he was really, really close to those players at the minor league level. I'm sure John had to scold Bo and Vladdy at some point when they were at AA or AAA. And I also think that when you get to the majors, and I've talked to guys who've come up through the minors and managed a team in the majors, they'll tell you that Major League, the relationship changes. Like, you might get away with the father-son stuff a little bit in AA. Major League is different. The relationships are automatically different. You've got more voices.
Yeah.
in the players' ear.
I've never been on a team before where the manager's in the cage. Never. I can't even really remember when I was in a clubhouse where a manager was actually in talking with players.
I mean, I think John throws batting practice.
Yeah, it's it. I mean, most managers do. Like managers that have been around a little while that want to stay in shape. Most of them do throw to the first round or whatever, and they get used to it and they get in a groove doing it. And I just don't. I mean, if you want to blame anybody, blame the head coaches. Is it John's fault that Springer was stunk for 3 months and Bo hasn't been good and Vladdy was bad for 2 months and Varsho's like falling off a cliff and the bullpen's not any good? Is that John's fault?
Let's go to Owen Crisp in Westport, Ontario. Very quickly squeeze this one in because I think this is a similar vein.
Mr. Barker, my name is Owen Crisp.
Mr.
From
Barker.
Westport, Ontario. And
Barker.
I would like to know why
Mr. Barker.
management will not clamp down on Vladdy standing, watching balls, land in the infield, and only getting to second base when he could get to third or beyond. I welcome any feedback that you can provide. That's Owen Crisp in Westport, Ontario, just north of Kingston.
Yeah, shout out to Westport. Family Cottage near Westport.
Do you have
fine brewery.
You have any
there.
idea what Owen's talking about?
I mean, I've never seen a player go to third in a.
I think he's talking about going
maybe running hard. I don't know. I think Vlad. I mean, I don't know. I think Vladdy plays hard. That's just me. I mean, I think this gets back to people do see Vladdy laughing and having fun and all that. I mean, I don't know. I think Vladdy plays pretty hard. I think Vladdy, like anybody else, when they're scuffling, has days where he doesn't look very happy. But
I've never seen a real day that Vladdy doesn't look happy. When's that day?
When he strikes out and he slammed his bat and things like is what I'm saying. But I don't.
I mean, Owen's not a big fan of Vladdy. You can tell that. So every time that Vladdy doesn't do something that Owen doesn't like, which is fine. You're a baseball fan. You can like and dislike who you want. I haven't really seen that part of it. I'm sure that John and the 1,000 khakis and high performance people and the 115 hitting coaches.
Jeez, we've gone from
the same conversation.
We've gone from 18 to 30 to 115. Like I said, it's like rabbits, man. They just multiply. They multiply.
The same conversation.
I'm sure the players get in the charter. They go, "What the hell?
I got to be
five more hitting coaches.
I got to be honest.
Who are
with
you?
I'll be honest with you. If they trade Vladdy, the lineup's unwatchable. I'm in that camp.
Isn't it funny? We just got a few minutes here, but isn't it funny how you go back to when Vladdy and Bo came up? Got to get both those guys signed. They're the future. Then you thought, boy, Vladdy sure seems a little. It seems as if there's some stress with Bo in the organization all the time because of contracts, and Vladdy seems so happy to be here. Probably going to sign Vladdy and not going to get Bo. Then Bo signs that 3-year deal through arbitration. All of a sudden you're going, okay, it looks like maybe they can sign Bo because they've already agreed on what he's worth here. And then Vladdy, Bo hits well and Vladdy scuffles and you're going, boy, maybe they should focus on signing Bo. Then you get to this year and Bo's scuffling. Vladdy takes him to arbitration, wins, and you're going, man, they're not going to sign either of these guys. Now all of a sudden people are saying, if I had a choice, I'd probably sign Vladdy more than Bo. It's like we've gone back and forth in this thing the whole time. And I think at this point, the only guy you've got a chance of signing
is
Vladdy. And I don't know how good that chance is.
Miracles happen.
Hey, that's it for us. Everybody enjoy your weekend. Enjoy the All-Star break. We'll be back on Friday. I mean, adios. I've never seen you this happy. Actually, I have, but that's a story we're not going to talk about on the air. That's it for us. Enjoy the baseball. Enjoy the weekend. Enjoy the break. Watch Paul Skeens in the All-Star game. Watch him get lit up. Have a great break. Have a great weekend.